Now we use this same strategy for converting other types of units. And the table below gives a number of these conversion factors, where the unit on the left is the English unit, the one we in the United States are more familiar with, pounds and inches and yards and miles and quarts. Whereas on the right, we have what is called the SI units, which are more commonly used in just about all other countries in the world: gram, kilograms, centimeters, meters, kilometers, and liters. And in the world of science, we use these SI units. The SI units are referred to as the International System of Units, or SI is actually French for Le Système International. So we often have to convert between English units and SI units, and back and forth between one and the other. So we do this just as we did with furlongs in the mile, is we set up a conversion factor based on an identity. Basically, we say that if A equals B, we can then set the ratio up as A over B or B over A. We can flip them upside down, and it's an identity. This identity enables us to convert between the units. So, for example, between pounds and grams, the identity is that there are 453 grams in 1 pound, or 453 grams is equal to 1 pound. So we can create this ratio as 453 grams over 1 pound, or as we will see in the next slide, we can actually flip it, 1 pound over 453 grams, and we can multiply it by whatever initial unit to cancel out the units on the bottom of the conversion factor to give us the desired units for the product. So in general, if we have some number in an initial unit, such as an initial English unit, and we want to convert it to a value in a final unit, an SI unit, we multiply by a conversion factor. Let's give an example. The example I give here is converting inches to centimeters. Now, you probably know that a standard sheet of paper is 8.5 by 11 inches. You know that? And I oftentimes use this, especially the 11 inches along the long edge, as a measuring device. If I have to measure the width of a TV screen or the width of a door or anything like that, I'll just take a sheet of paper and go out and determine how many of these sheets of paper and use that as my convenient yardstick. But let's say that we have to convert, for some reason, we have to convert inches to centimeters. How do we do it? By the same strategy. We take 11 inches, multiply it by the conversion factor of 2.54 centimeters per 1 inch, so that the inches cancel, and the result is the value in centimeters. So 11 inches is equal to 27.8 centimeters. Now similarly, we can go the other way around. We can go from an SI unit, grams, kilograms, centimeters, meters, kilometers, liters. We can go from an SI unit to an English unit, which we may be more familiar with: pounds, inches, yards, miles, quarts. We work the same way. We take the value, the numerical value of the initial unit, multiply it by a conversion factor, so that the unit we want to cancel out is in the denominator, the bottom of the conversion factor, and the unit we want is in the numerator, the top of the conversion factor. We do the math and we get the value in the final unit. So let's say that you're on a trip to Europe, to England, over the summer, over the holidays, and you've been dining on bangers and mash for like a week now, and you're starting to feel a little ill. And so you go to the doctor, and the first thing the doctor does is he weighs you, and he says you weigh 50 kilograms. So you're thinking, 50 kilograms? What is that in pounds? I'm not familiar with my weight in kilograms. So how do you convert your weight in kilograms to pounds? The same way. You take the value in the initial units, kilograms, 50 kilograms, multiply it by a conversion factor. In this case, 1 pound is equal to 0.453 kilograms. setting it up so that the kilograms will cancel out. Do the math, and you get the answer that 50 kilograms is equal to 110.4 pounds. Now, obviously, that's not my weight, but maybe it's somebody's. Now, of course, in order to do this, it's useful to have these conversion tables, or these identity tables between grams and pounds and meters and yards and cups and pints and all of these things. And yes, usually you can find this in the back of any science textbook, or of course nowadays you just Google it. You can just Google the relationship between meters and yards. Now, measurements are not just for scientists, although we do a lot of measuring, but it's not just for scientists. We have to convert between units in commerce and in trade, especially if the trade is with other countries, because they're always going to make measurements in the SI units. We have to convert cups to quarts, eggs to dozens. We have to deal with units such as scientists' light years and pressure in atmospheres and pounds per square inch. We have to deal with distances, areas such as acres. 2,000 pounds is equal to a ton. Converting between calories and joules and BTU units. All of these kind of measurements that are made, and we oftentimes have to convert between one and the other to get it into a convenient unit of measure. Another example is converting Celsius to Fahrenheit, and we will have a separate lesson for that. But going back to our horse racing, a number of measures exist in horse racing. As you obviously will have heard about races in which one horse won by a nose. They could also win by a head, or a short head, or a neck, or a short neck, or a length. Remember, a length is 8 feet, or 3/4 a length, or half a length. Now, Secretariat won by such a large distance, over 30 lengths, that they actually had to create a new measure of winning distance in heart rate, called a distance, due to Secretariat. The take-home lessons: convert between units. Just use these examples. For example, converting between inches to centimeters. Multiply by the conversion factor 2.54 centimeters per 1 inch, canceling out the inches to get centimeters. If you can do this one, you can handle a lot of problems involving converting between units. Going the other way around, let's say you have something that is 10 centimeters and you want to convert it to inches. How do you do that? You can flip that conversion factor. 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters, such that the centimeters cancel. Do the math, and you get 3.94 inches. So it works either way, and this is all we do when we convert between one unit, one dimension, and another. Now we're going to pause, and you're going to be asked to work a couple of these kind of problems, converting between units. Now there will be a number of problems given. We'll ask you to work two, and which ones you work will depend upon your student ID number, so pay attention to the directions. See you later with another lesson.